Hey YouTubers, this particular bike has an oddball problem. This is the one that I took the carburetor off of the tank and made a patch plate to cover where the carburetor went. Put a drain cock in the tank and made it a up on the top bar type. Used an old Lawson carburetor and a manifold, and here's the crux of the whole problem. A manifold off of about a 10 horsepower. It's way bigger on the inside than what the port in the carburetor or the port in the motor are. So I'm getting a lot of gas puddling. If you go down a hill and let off the gas and you get to the bottom and open her back up, you're drawing in a bunch of unvaporized gas, unatomized gas. Not to mention, when you're flying down the road, air is whipping by that carburetor pretty fast, coming this way, under my leg and out through there, and that carburetor does get a little close to my leg, but you got to remember your legs. People ask me this all the time. Your legs go out here and down to the pedals. They're not laying against it until you stop, and if you're not cautious of it. But I don't run an air filter because that would get it into my leg. If it were out any further, it'd be an issue. That's not the problem. The air whipping by it, siphoning away instead of going in, and I thought about making a little scoop right there, but the whole problem can be eliminated by what I'm going to do here in a little while. That manifold being off of a 10 or 12 horse, being way too big for it, I'm thinking that and it being at a right angle to the engine, is where my whole problem's stemming from. So, to cure it, I made this manifold out of a plumbing flange, like what you put a handrail up with, and a flat washer. The flat washer's canted like the Kawasaki pattern that I got that Tecumseh manifold on, about a 45 degree. When I've got that on 45, the flange is horizontal. The flange will bolt to the two bolts that the carburetor's on now, or the carburetor will bolt to them two flange bolts right there and right there. It's a much smaller inside port. I've sealed it with hardening Permatex, so in the morning it'll be good to put on. And it'll barely kick outward, about like my muffler kicks out toward the left. The carb will kick out toward the right just a smidgen. I'm hoping that's going to cure up my fuel puddling problem. And it'll reduce the asking, is that getting into your leg? No, it's not getting into my leg, and it really won't back here unless I break my leg or wreck the bike. Oh, me. But you see why I had to put the tank up top, and I had to put the tank up top because I couldn't cut out that bar and still have my idler. I'm repeating, but each time I do another step, I have to show what's going on here. So I've made a bunch of manifolds for these little bikes. Every weld, since my welds had a few pock marks in them, I've sealed them with that hardening Permatex. I tapped threads in that piece of bicycle handlebar and screwed that pipe in it till it got so tight I couldn't turn it anymore. Didn't weld it in case by some weird chance my angle ain't quite right. I can always crack my hardening Permatex and retweak it. But I used the original Kawasaki, or as my friend calls it, a Kawasaki, because he's not fond of them. No, he don't care one way or another. Used this gasket for my mating up to the engine. I had made a new one myself when I put that big manifold on. I cut something from scratch back there. Hell, I may have to stack them both. I don't know, to get them out past that wire to get my washer part. I cut that one flange off so it won't interfere with the muffler, that one flange on the manifold. But we'll see how it turns out. I'm going to stop the video and go ahead and change it out tonight. Okay, I'm back on the manifold deal. I've got it on the engine. I like the way it looks. The reason I left those long bolts, if I ever want to go back to a different kind of manifold, those are the original Kawasaki bolts for its long carburetor. I know it looks a little cheesy with those 5/16 nuts on it, but hey, they take up the space. It's drawn down good and tight. I think it'll do fine. And it's way way in out of the way of everything. It's about the right angle. Maybe tipped up just a smidge in the back, but that won't hurt anything. Yeah, I like it. I think it'll be a whole lot better. I'm not going to run it tonight because I want my hardening Permatex to set up in all those threads just in case there was any pinhole that I didn't plug. The reason I keep messing with this bike, this has got a, oh, what do they call it? A hyper-eutectic aluminum silicon alloy cylinder. It's some kind of snazzed out Kawasaki motor. Even though it's an old flathead, they're real durable. And you can run it wide open and fly on down the road 35, 38 miles an hour and not feel like you're killing it. And now that that carburetor's out the back instead of out the side, it shouldn't be siphoning the air. What it was doing was like, you know how you can take a garden hose and wash a puddle and empty the puddle with the water from the garden hose, make it siphon it off if you get down parallel with it and push the water? Well, that's what it was doing with the air that's supposed to be going in the back. It was taking my air down past my leg and out the back. So I'm hoping it won't be as apt to do that with this end being blocked by the motor. John Wade on YouTube's where this and 22 motorized bikes and all these other motors and toys and various other forms of craziness. I enjoy it. It's something to do. Keeps me out of trouble. And that's what I'm going to do throughout my retirement, I hope. See you on the next one, folks. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.